So here we are today building the Star Wars Revell model kit, and this is a 1:52 scale model kit. And we've got the box there, as you can see, getting the glue at the ready. So we're going to unpack the model kit from inside the box and see what we've got. That's the back of the box, so I'm just showing you what we've got here. So there's our bits and pieces. We've got our instructions. So just lay everything out. I've got the instructions here while I'm speaking through the video also, so we can see what we're up to. So we've got the transfers there. So in this video we'll just be assembling the model, but there's a fair bit of painting to do while assembling this model. So in the part one we'll just be doing the fiddly bits, like painting the pilots, inside of the cockpit, and there's some other bits and pieces, the grille on the back of the Snowspeeder. And in part two we will paint the main spacecraft and add some kind of wearing effect also, or sort of like dirt and grime into the Snowspeeder. So there we are, got our bits and pieces all laid out, and we're going to start off by cutting out pieces 1 and 2, which is kind of the backrest of the seat for the pilots. And we'll also cut out the pilots, which are numbered 4 and 6. So you can see there we're just cutting out the parts 1 and 2, and we'll stick those together. And I'll use some cast iron paint, which I've got here. I'm using acrylic paints to paint my model. I'm not using the Revell hobby paints. If you want to use the Revell hobby paints, then of course go for it. And the paints that you'll need are actually listed in the instruction sheet as well. But I'll use acrylics, as I like using acrylics, and I'll try and match the colours up as best as I can. But if you want to be totally pure, then order the model paints from Revell. I might start using Revell model paints at some point, but the only thing is you got to wait for them to dry, because they're not or longer. You got to wait longer for them to dry because they're not water-based like acrylic. But you can get acrylic model paints also, and I think Revell make those as well. Not that I'm pumping Revell, by the way. So you know, it's all down to what you prefer to use and for the best effects. So we've also cut out number 3, and that is like the base of the cockpit. And we got the 2 pilots there, as you can see. So you got the base there where the pilots will sit on. And so we're just arranging everything there. So of course, when you cut your pieces out, use a file to file down any spigots or loose edges. So I'm just gluing that mid seat bit in the middle of the cockpit area, cockpit floor and sides. Like I said, we'll be painting in this video. We'll be painting that with the cast iron paint, as you can see there. So that gives it's black, but it gives a kind of metallic effect as well, which I quite like on some of the parts, especially like we got the grille on the back of the Snowspeeder. So I think it looks pretty good painting it kind of a iron oxide, not iron oxide, sorry, cast iron. I'm getting older these days, so I get my words mixed up, so you got to be careful. Don't listen to everything I say on these videos sometimes, because I do get my words mixed up. So just painting the parts of the pilot there. I'm just going to mix up a kind of orangey colour, so just mix in an orange with a bit of red, just to make it a little bit redder, to try and match up with the outfits that the Snowspeeder pilots wear, which are like the X-Wing fighter pilot gear, as a Star Wars fans are familiar with. So also paint the gloves white, the helmet white, which we'll do a little bit later on in the video, and the boots are grey. So now we've cut out pieces 7 and 5, which is the controls inside the cockpit. And we'll do the same there, go through the same sequence, file the parts down, paint them up with the appropriate colour, a dark cast iron colour. A little tip there for beginners, bit of clay. You can just stick these little pieces in a bit of clay and then paint onto the pieces, let it dry, and then you can paint the full piece once you pulled it out. It just makes it easier to paint fiddly bits. So yeah, stick them in the clay, wait for them to dry, pull them out, and paint the other side. So now we're cutting out piece 9. We'll also be cutting out pieces 10 and 11, which are flaps. This is going to the rear of the Snowspeeder, plus piece 12, which is like the grill. And these, so I'll paint these up, and then these will be stuck together a little bit later in the video. Plus, while we're painting things up, I pulled out pieces 22 and 23, which is the stand. So I'm going to paint that in a cast iron colour also. So again, sticking the fiddly bits into the clay, giving a coat of the cast iron paint, and Bob should be your uncle. And then we've got the grill there, which we're painting up. And the stand, the model stand. So I let that dry overnight, and then because that kind of solidifies the colour, kind of cures it, and it doesn't rub off when you put an extra coat on. So we just put an extra coat on now just to solidify the colour, and doing that with all our pieces. So just giving it another coat where it's needed. Now we're cutting out the main part of the craft Snowspeeder. So we've got pieces 13 and what's the other number here? 13 and 8. Sorry about that. And on piece 8 there is a little bit of painting on, that's piece 8 there, and we're just painting inside the cockpit area where the cockpit screen will fit over the top. And on the other piece there's a little bit of paint work which is described in the instructions. So you got kind of like a couple of panels of black and a cast iron in my case, and a couple of panels of or a few panels of grey, which I actually mixed a bit of cast iron with a bit of white just to make my grey. And as we go through, we'll kind of touch that up as we go through when it dries. And at the end, like I say, but this will be in the second video, we'll add some paint effects to blend all the colours together with like a wearing effect. So we touched up the pilots as well, painted the pilot boots grey. So there's our two pieces there, 8 and 13. And I just watered down a little bit of brown to create a wash over the faces. And sometimes when you paint the inside of the cockpit on some of these models, you can't see inside anyway, so sometimes I think it's a bit pointless painting the inside when you can't see it, of course. But we might just get a glimpse on these pilots through the cockpit windshield. So we've got two pieces there, that's 20 and 17, which are like the rocket boosters behind the gun. I assume they're rocket boosters, perhaps there's something to do with the gun, but I think they're boosters. And we've got the two guns as well, so that's 18 and 15. And there's a little gun there, which is number 21. And there's two booster covers, which is 19 and 16. So just going over our objects again, touching up where each part needs touching up on the painted parts at this stage. And there we are, we're pretty much ready to assemble things together. So first off, let's stick those pilots in place into the base of the cockpit. So there they are in place. Put the control panels, stick those in also. And then we're ready to put that inside the main part of the Snowspeeder. So there we are. So sticking that in place. So just go for a test run there to make sure we're doing it right. And now we know what we're doing. We can just put the glue in the appropriate places and stick that in place. Just started to rain outside, pouring down. So there we are, cockpit in place. The two pilots. And now we're going to assemble the back part where the grille is. I guess that's the exhaust part. So we've got those pieces 9, 11, 10 and 12 to stick in place together. And then we can fix that into the main part of the Snowspeeder also. Fiddly part this is. You might be able to hear the rain outside. I don't know if it's going to pick up on the microphone here. August the 27th, 2020 is today. And we've got quite a lot of rain here for this week in the UK. So they were stuck in that rear exhaust part, the grille. And now we can stick the two pieces of the main craft together. Got some tea here. Healthy tea, one of those herbal teas, but I'm not quite sure what's in it. It tastes alright. I'm on a diet at the moment because I put on a few pounds. Need to lose a stone. So there we are. You don't want to hear about my health habits or eating habits. We stuck the two pieces together there. Now we're going to stick down the cockpit, top, windshield. Or file it off and get it ready at least. So see if it fits and now glue it in place. And now what we're left with is the guns and the boosters on the back and sides of the Snowspeeder. There's actually not very many parts to this model, but it's still, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily easier to make or assemble than some other models with lots more pieces. So there we are, sticking those rocket boosters, number 20 and number 17 to 16 and 19 respectively. And first off, we're going to stick those guns down. By the way, there is a left hand and a right hand piece here, so they're not identical, so they need to be fitted in the right place, left and right. That goes for the guns and the boosters. Just where the tags are for the where they slot into the main Snowspeeder part on the wings. That glue applicator is good as well because you've got like a tiny little tube that squirts the glue through, so it only just squirts through just the required amount, if you know what I mean. So there we are, that's where we're at. So that's the first stage, model assembled, and all the difficult paint, or the paint parts that you wouldn't be able to paint if it was assembled, all done. All the inside bits, if you get me drift. So the gun fixed into place as well on the back, and then we'll just put it on its stand. And of course in the next video we will finish off the painting and get it looking worn and battered or whatever. So that's where we're at. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next part. Thanks for watching, and over and out for now.